Welcome to the Enrich Minds podcast, people. We're all here. Why? Because we got to talk. Why are Americans so damned unhappy? This is something that's been baffling me since the weekend. And I've been thinking a lot about, are we just having too much of a good thing where we have nothing else to think about but stupid stuff and get mad about stupid stuff? Stupid stuff like a tank being named after The Rock, and people are up in arms because they named the tank after Dwayne Johnson, pretty much. Now, with all the crap that's going on in the world, the mass shootings that's going on in the United States itself, not to mention abroad, but people are really suffering on this planet. People are having problem accessing water. We're not even talking about clean water. We're talking about water. People are having problems accessing food. Look at the president in the Venezuelan problem right now, where those people are starving and basically having a mass exodus to Colombia just to be able to survive. And I know a lot of you guys are saying, well, that's not our problem. We are America. But why is Americans so damn depressed? That's a shame. 13% of Americans 12 and older took an antidepressant between 2005 and 2008. That number has jumped up higher than Michael Jordan, higher than LeBron James, because the problem is not only persisting, but it's growing. Not to mention the opioid use, where people are ODing, evidently trying to escape some sort of problem by self-medicating with the opiate. And we need to wonder, why are we so damn unhappy? Is it too much of a good thing? Because I don't have the answer to why, but I'm just brainstorming with you people. And please comment, like, and share this post. And maybe we can get some answers and we get some dialogue going and we can get some suicide stopped. Now, too much of a good thing. Meaning, is life too easy for us? Is everything being handed to us actually doing Americans any good? Now, if you rewind time 50 years, where let's say 60 years now, because time's moved a little bit, but let's say 60 years ago, people cooked more. Food wasn't just on every corner like it is now. Now you have food in the 7-Elevens. You can get a hot meal. You got food ready to eat everywhere. This is causing an obesity problem in America. Okay, just look at the stats. 60 years ago, people weren't so obese. Now they are. Food wasn't so available back then. Now it is. Cakes are everywhere. Junk is everywhere. And depending on where you live at, you might not have access to healthy food other than the grocery store. Meaning you can't find a Chipotle or something that's deemed to be healthy, like a Tender Greens or something. That might be out of your reach. You might have to travel 30 minutes to reach a place like that. That's number one. Because face it, people, you don't have to work hard so much. You got a lot of time to lay around, if you know what I mean. Back in the day, you had to wash your clothes by hand. Back in the days, you had to catch and kill your food and clean it. That was time consuming. That didn't give you a lot of time to have an idle mind to go sour. And I believe there's a lot of idle minds now, and people are just going sour. Now, are we too soft as a society? People don't want to be accountable for their own actions. People don't believe other people should be accountable for their own actions. Predominantly, their children. A lot of parents are saying their children are angels and they shouldn't face any sort of consequence at school that they wouldn't give that child at home. But the problem is they don't give the child any consequence at home. And the children are cursing out their parents, and the children are severely disrespecting their parents. Their children are not giving any type of chores anymore. Kids don't clean up and earn allowances that much anymore. They just get everything. They got the latest iPhone, and they're just living their best life at their parents' expense, and they're not taught to give anything back. And they're also not taught to be accountable. Well, a society that has no accountability is chaos. Meaning, imagine if crime went unpunished. A lot of people are complaining about the police and the judicial system, but a lot of those guys need to be in that prison for you to be safe. Because if they were free, you would be terrorized. That's the truth of the matter. Is that system abused? Of course it is. Everything's abused, just like food, just like time, just like all these people wasting time because they have nothing to do. That's something that we need to work on. But your kid should learn as a child, because you, as a parent, are preparing this child to become an adult, and most importantly, a functioning, productive adult in society. That child cannot become that if you don't implement the proper teachings. Every action has a reaction. If you do something wrong, you can expect punishment, not nothing. Like Donald Trump does whatever he wants to do. He says whatever he wants to say, and there's no consequence up to this point. Now, hopefully it comes in the future, but he hasn't seen it yet. That's the example that a lot of people are living by, especially these white supremacists, is saying it's okay if I want to go kill up 50 people and in the name of white supremacy, because this president here is going to back us. He's going to make sure we're protected when we do that. Nothing's going to come behind it. And your child might think that. Your child might think he can hit his girlfriend and nothing's going to come behind it. He might think that he can not go to work and he don't understand why he's getting fired. So he's so angry at these people, he might pick up a gun and do a mass shooting. This is why we have a lot of mass shootings most of the time. Sometimes it's ideological beliefs, but it's also people that are angry at the workplace. They feel like they shouldn't have got fired. You are raising your child to be the best adult they can be in society. At least you should. Stop raising these mass shooters. Stop raising these couch potatoes. Stop raising someone that doesn't know how to be an adult. Because a lot of adults now, especially young adults like 30, they have a hard time accepting responsibility. They call it adulting. And it's amazing that that's a new term, but people are having a problem adulting. It's your fault, parents. Yeah, I know you're embarrassed. I know, just like look at the college stuff, where these parents paid these kids way. These kids didn't do anything. They didn't do the work. They didn't study. They didn't even take the exam to get into the college. And the parents paid these kids way in. These kids, how can they be a functioning adult when they don't have the self-discipline? That's what you parents need to be installing. But our society has no self-discipline. Our society is so obsessed with how we look, especially on social media, that if it goes wrong, suicide will be in the forecast. Our suicide rate is through the roof. Now, let's rewind 50, little over 50 years plus, not that long ago, because a lot of you guys' parents is older than that, and some of you are that age. The civil rights movement. Black people had no rights in America, or minimal rights in America. Definitely couldn't vote. Couldn't drink out the same water fountain. Couldn't do this, couldn't do that. That did not spike the suicide rate. That did not spike the depression rate. Now, just think about that. A lot of you guys might have a dismissive answer. Some of you guys that are more inquisitive about the facts and about why, think about it. Research it. Why were people not so depressed back then as they are now? Well, people had to work. People had to fight hard. People had to focus. Now people are giving everything. You don't even have to go to the library anymore. I can pick up my phone and I can Google something and I can learn whatever I want to learn. And if I have a problem with my homework, if I need to learn how to spell something, I just Google everything. Everything is easy. Information is easy. If I need to find out how to get from point A to point B, I can type both locations in my phone, and my phone will not only give me the route, but it'll give me alternate routes and it'll give me the fastest route. You don't have to learn how to read a map anymore. You don't have to do much anymore. Is this poison in our brain? Now, there's a wild, zany guy out there by the name of Alex Jones, and a lot of people think he's a quack job, and a lot of times he is a quack job, but he does make some particular points that are think-worthy. You should ponder. Are we being poisoned by the government? That's his argument. Now, listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I don't agree with a lot of their rhetoric, but sometimes you have to wonder who's controlling the food. What are these chemicals that they're putting in our food doing to society? Is that a problem? A lot of you guys are raising your hand and screaming, "Amen." I understand that too, but we can't just dismiss all these other points that I made and say it's all because of the food. because it's also because of the rules that you implement in your house with your family. It starts at home. It takes a village to raise a child. The village is twisted now. Now, of course, a lot of people have received some sort of trauma that's affected the way that they behave now. I understand that too, but that's a small percentage of the entire pie. When you look at the entire pie, it's a lot. It has a lot to do with laziness because it takes energy to discipline your child at home. My mom used to say she was too tired sometimes to kick my ass, but I needed a good ass kicking. And guess what? As soon as she rejuvenated, that ass kicking got implemented, the punishments got implemented, all kinds of things got implemented. Now, a lot of you guys are saying, "Oh, I don't believe in whipping your child," but most of those people are the ones with out of control children. Because how are you going to control your child if you don't implement any punishment? If your kid continues to be defiant to the point where a physical interaction has to happen, then so be it. Now, we're not saying abuse your child. You can lay your child over on the bed and spank their butt. You don't have to beat them in the back. You don't have to hit them in the head. You don't have to do all these things. But society has gotten so weak. Can we function? You have all these people that saying, "Oh, I don't want to kill a human being. I don't want to kill a living being." But guess what, folks? Sometimes there's a lot of bad people on this earth, and they want to do us a lot of harm. And we have to take action. We have to defend this nation to be the greatest country, or arguably the greatest country that it is. Now, a lot of people, I find it funny, they sit back and complain about everything, and they complain about us being at war and all these types of things. But you're benefiting directly from our government, meaning we've never been invaded. Why? Because we don't play around in that department. The only way for you to, here's what I'm saying. In order for you not to get bullied, you have to be a bruiser. You have to be tough, or you're going to get bullied. A lot of people, the only reason you're not getting robbed is because police exist. They are arresting people for doing this and putting people in prison. There's a lot of dangerous men in prison. They don't give a damn about what's right. The only thing they care about is what they want to do. And sometimes what they want to do is harm you. Now, because you're safe, it gives you the liberty to talk a lot of shit. It gives you the liberty to sit around and complain about stupid things when other people don't have that luxury. So you ought to appreciate where you're at the time you're there and what you have. And in America, we might not have much. Some people might be poor, and you might not have much, but you have a whole hell of a lot more than some people living in dirt and living in bomb buildings, in rubble, pretty much, with no functioning nothing, no hospital anywhere around. So I'm not saying that us as Americans don't have a right to be upset, but the things that we are upset about and the things that we obsess over, you gotta admit is ridiculous. Why do we give a fuck what Kylie's doing in her house? That's none of our business. I saw a headline, of course I didn't read it, but I scrolled through a lot of news, and they said Kylie explains the black marks on her wall. That's another problem with America. You're too busy minding everybody else's damn business that you can't even function with your own. You keep distracting yourself with somebody else's shit that it has no bearing on your life. What's in Kylie's house and what's going on in your neighbor's house is not going to affect your future, period. You need to be focused on how to be the best person you can be and living your best damn life. People are so obsessed with the way they look. People are going into debt, getting butt shots, tit jobs, and all this type of stuff. Listen, what the fuck are we thinking, people? People are living paycheck to paycheck already. We're already the cost of living and the ratio of how much people get paid is damn near upside down. And you're focused on a butt job. You're focused on what your pictures are going to look like on Instagram, or maybe you're investing in your body because you're going to sell your body. I can understand that. But a lot of y'all aren't selling your body. You just want people to like you. You want men to turn their head when you walk into a room. Let's be honest. That's what a lot of you women want, is attention, instant gratification, just to know that you have a certain power to distract somebody. And you're going to really spend $30,000 just to have that ability? 30,000 that you don't have. 30,000 that you might have to let some sleazy man sweat over top of you. You're not even attracted to this person, but in order for you to get that butt job, you are going to lay down on the bed and let some fat, sloppy, disgusting man sweat all over you and perv all over you just to get that butt job? Well, sister, if you're going to subject yourself to that, at least get you a fucking house. Get you something that matters. Don't get a butt job and the motherfucker deflates, or it just gets old because 300 million other girls have the same butt job. So you're not that special anymore. Damn it. Stop letting that be so important, because that leads to depression. It leads to an explosion in I think we have a psychiatrist and a psychologist shortage in America because it's so much depression going on. Why are we so unhappy? Should we really be unhappy about a lot of the things that we're unhappy about? Should we really give a damn if they've named a tank after The Rock? How does that have any effect on your life? How is that affecting the growing gap between rich and poor? That's what we need to be mad about. That's what matters. Your children, if they don't pay to get into college, or you don't pay to get them into college, they might not be they might have to work 2 full-time jobs just to live. 80 hours a week. How much time are you going to spend in that space that you're damn near killing yourself to pay for? That's what you should be fighting for. That's what the outrage should be about. It should be about those politicians that's been in Washington 40 and 50 years, and they're old and decrepit, and they are the reason that there's no more middle class. Now, you can argue Democrat and Republican. It's all of those motherfuckers. Everybody that's been there for the past 40, 50 years needs to get the fuck out of there. They have ruined society because they've been bought and paid for. Maybe it wasn't in the beginning, but it eventually came where big corporate America runs the politics. We know that via being the donor. If you don't raise enough money to campaign, you can pretty much not expect to get elected. So basically that means who's got the most money more than likely is going to get elected. Does that make sense? Does that mean you really have a voice? That's what you should be mad about. How many likes you got on Facebook, and who didn't like your shit? Who's not supporting your shit? Listen, that's just the cost of living. That's nothing. But your future being in the hands of a person that doesn't give a damn about you because you don't donate enough money for this person to even notice you, that should be your major concern. And there should also be some major concerns, and leave those concerns in the comments on YouTube, on Instagram, or on Twitter, Enrich Minds 17, and also Facebook, Enrich Minds Podcast. Holla at me, people. Have a good day.